Good morning and welcome to day 2 of the Leaders Majlis at the Founders Service Arena. Today's conversation brings together founders and business leaders to share practical experience in a focused and accessible setting. Audience questions are encouraged where time allows. We begin today with Mohammed Abu Sheikh, founder and CEO of Context. This session will focus on technology, business growth, and building from the region to wider markets. What has been the most important decision in building a technology business with regional and global relevance?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having me. I think to your point, the most important decision would be to identify what your impact is, right? What you're trying to achieve at the end of the day. That is super important for a couple of reasons. First, it's most entrepreneurs, the moment they start on a path to build a company or build a startup or what have you, when the path gets a bit more difficult and things start burning and you don't know what to do, and as Reid Hoffman likes to say, you've jumped off the mountain and now you need to assemble your plane. It's difficult for you to remember where am I headed with this. So the reason that would keep you sane and the reason that would keep you going and will allow you to continue building towards a very specific direction is knowing exactly what kind of impact you want to achieve and what are you trying to create in this market that you're trying to build into. So just focusing on your impact and staying hyper-focused on that is going to be a lot of help, in my experience.
That's interesting to hear. From your experience at being a CEO of Context, how do you build a team that challenges you rather than a team that easily agrees with you?
So to begin with, probably just hiring based on merit, excellence, and intelligence would be the first step forward. For a very long time, and I feel this is a big problem that we see in a lot of the hiring processes, is everybody is hiring based on how I feel. I like the candidate because we share the same hobbies. I like them because we have this in common and that in common and so on and so forth. The moment we just take a step back and start hiring people not based on our likeness to those people, but based on their ability to execute and their ability and their skill set specifically, and then you can start saying, oh, maybe there's this thing they're good at, or maybe there's that thing that we can have in common. But making sure you get the best in class, regardless of whether you are personally in the same team as them or you personally have a liking in that person, is the first step towards achieving that, right? And obviously giving space to people to be able to do what they're good at. If you hire people, my belief is you should always hire people that are the best in their domain and definitely better than you, so they're able to actually challenge you and you're able to challenge them back. And that is what gives you a healthy team and an A-star team, not a family, a team.
So in an AI-driven world and the robotic era, who holds the real power from your opinion? Is it the ones that build the tech or the ones who own the data?
So I don't think those two are like two separate things. Maybe there's a small misconception in the market that those two can be two separate lines in parallel, right? Realistically, anybody that's building tech, they need the data, especially in AI and robotics and this world that we're building in, right? If you don't have the data, you don't have technology. And if you don't have technology, the data is also useless. So they really need to come in hand. The real power lies with those who are able to put the right data with the right technology and achieve, again, the impact that they should be able to achieve. Because data is available and in abundance, right? But knowing what type of data to use, how to manipulate that data, how to make sure this data is the right data to be using, and how to pair it with the right technology and build on top of that data the things that you should be building, that is the challenge, right? It's not more, it doesn't mean that the power lies with one part or the other. It lies with the person that's able to map both and achieve something mapping both of those things together or merging those things together.
And by that, I would like to open the floor for the audience. If anyone has any questions for Mohammed, please go ahead. Okay, let's move to another question, Mohammed, I have for you is, what's the most common strategic mistake you see high growth company making in this region, from your opinion?
So in the region, there's a very big misconception about what high growth companies should look like, right? Most of the time, a high growth company believes or think that they should just be copying whatever other company is doing in the US or in a different market. And that's how I will achieve high growth, and that's how I will keep growing in high growth. And by doing that, they forget that the reason that they became a high growth company in the region is because of how local they are, right? And because they're solving a local problem that doesn't really relate to the international problem or to the Western problem that the other competitor or the other player in that market is trying to solve for, which in turn basically let them lose, let's say, they take their eyes off the ball, if for lack of better words. And that becomes problematic very quickly.
From your experience in building context, name us one challenge that you have faced and how did you overcome this challenge? Something that you would advise future entrepreneurs that are aiming to start their own businesses one day.
That's a good one.
Think about it. Do you have something? Or?
Of course, yeah. So from my experience, I think the most challenging thing at Context was to really identify what are we the best in the world at, right? And identifying that item and again, making sure you're super focused on what you're the best in the world at, even if it's one thing. You don't need to go build a suite of products or a suite of solution or try to conquer 10 different markets at the same time. If you're able to conquer one market with one thing that you're the best in the world at, that will allow you to grow massively and build on top of that a lot of attraction and a lot of different products and what have you, as long as you know exactly what you're the best in the world at. And that's a mistake that we've made early on, and we've been able to overcome by refocusing ourselves and realigning on what actually we are the best in the world at and just capitalizing on that and just running with it.
So Mohammed, how does the UAE shift from being a fast adopter of technology to becoming a global source of it?
I think the UAE is already on that wave. I believe the UAE is one of the fastest growing economies, is one of the best places for an entrepreneur to be. It's one of the best markets for starting a business, especially startups and in technology. I think more entrepreneurs obviously is something super important. Having more people starting to solve more problems and not depending on or not waiting on other people's technologies to be embedded. I think the UAE is already in that mindset and is moving towards that direction where we want to own technology and build technology from here to the rest of the world, rather than borrowing technology or lending technology from people outside and trying to make it work here. Because most of the time it doesn't work. We've seen time after time examples where people are getting those technologies, those solutions from outside the region, trying to build it here or sell it here or make it here. It goes good for 5, 10 years and then it doesn't really survive. It's because the problem statement itself is not embedded in the people that are building those solutions and those companies, like it would be with people from the region that are trying to build for the region and trying to develop this market over here.
Thank you, Mohammed. Do you have any closing notes for the audience today?
Not really. Really.
Thank you for joining day 2 of the Leaders Majlis, and thank you everyone for joining us here today. The Leaders Majlis will now pause for a small break, and we will return at 1:30 as we continue our program. Thank you. Thank you, Mohammed.